Hello everyone, Manga Kid here to do my next installment of the digital BL manga wrap-up reviews. First title I have is Saijiki, A Calendar of Poems by Akio Shiba. I don't have much to say about this one. This is a prologue, I guess. It's about 30 pages long and I don't have any more of it, so I mean, it doesn't give you much in this first 30 pages that I could talk about, but I do know that it's set in 1868, and it's a bunch of Shinsengumi preparing for battle. It's, like, the art's pretty good. It's an interesting art style. There's a man on a horse. That's about it. There's not much else, really, to say about this particular title, but, I mean, it is what it is. I can't really say I enjoyed it because I didn't get much out of it, and I don't have any more of it to actually get any more of the story. So, the second title is The Bottomless Pit by Yumi Sabatama. It's about Kazu, this poor boy whose father has basically abandoned him to the rich family in town. Toshiaki is the son of this rich family, this wealthy family in the small town they live in. And he basically uses Kazu sexually and otherwise because he feels like he owns him. It's not good. It's basically just goes about their, you get flashbacks of like their childhood and you see a bit more of how this relationship dynamic formed in the first place. But it's basically just about this really controlling, rich, entitled dude using this other guy who has really no control over anything that's going on. And it is what it is. There are high school students, and I'm like, I don't understand why you are so entitled, child. But yeah, it wasn't great. The art was okay. The story wasn't much of anything. This was also listed as a volume 1. Again, it was also like 30 pages. So I don't know if there is more to this story or not. If there was, I don't care to read any more of it. I don't have any more of it digitally, but I wouldn't go seeking this out to read anything further of it. The next title is Before My Heart's Broken by Raw. And this one is, I actually really enjoyed this. It's about 30 pages or so as well, and it is about these two friends who are basically just in one of their bedrooms, talking about their friendship, their relationship. The one guy, he has feelings for his friend, and he's very obvious about it. He's like, I am attracted to you. And the other guy's like, no, I don't think that, this is gonna work, or, whatever, but I really, really liked this. I think the art was very charming, the character designs. I thought that their relationship, the dynamic between the two of them was very funny, and really cute. He's just very matter-of-fact of like, no, I think you're attractive, and I'm pretty sure I'm attracted to you. And the other guy is just a bit more embarrassed about it and nervous about it, but, it obviously, in this very short interaction, turns into sex by the end of it. But I just thought it was really funny and cute and just short and sweet. Yeah, and I really liked the art. I think it's really well done, and just it's a bit, obviously it's fiction, but it just felt very natural. Like this conversation between the two of them clearly isn't something that's never happened before. Seems like we've just been dropped into this moment between these two, that this is an ongoing conversation they've been having. So it doesn't feel like, oh, it's so out of left field that all of a sudden they're sleeping together. It's like, no, this clearly is a longer conversation, but we're only seeing a little portion of it. And we're seeing this particular moment between these two of when this conversation comes to a head, and then they inevitably end up sleeping together in this moment. And I just thought it was really interesting. Obviously, this mangaka only had a particular amount of space they had to fill, and so they couldn't do a whole fleshed out backstory between these two and, where their future will be or anything. But I thought it was a really well done little snippet of these characters' lives, because you don't really see that. Sometimes when you get these really short stories, you're like, I guess it was fine, whatever. But I really quite enjoyed this one for what it was. And I think that it worked that we don't know much about their background or their future. And we just see this one moment between the two of them. I thought it was very short and sweet. And if there was more of this, I would certainly read more about these two characters. I think they work well together. Next up, we've got All Hallows Even by Shuji Suzukake. And this was a really cute, like, detective ghost story sort of situation. This is a volume 1, again, about 30 or so pages, so we don't get too deep into character development or anything, but I quite enjoyed this one, and if I had more of it, I would definitely read it immediately. I don't have any more of this one, but this is one that I would kind of seek out to see what else there is of it, because I did enjoy this first volume, first 30 pages or so. So we basically have these two gentlemen. They work at like a convenience store or something, as like a front, but then they get a call and they're going to this park to investigate this ghost or spirit that is causing trouble. They, along the way, meet this younger spirit who is upbeat and positive and, not causing trouble. And yeah, so I would assume this is going to turn into some like a buddy comedy sort of situation where the two older men are dealing with this young, rambunctious spirit ghost kid. But the art, I just think, is really crisp. I really enjoyed it. I think that it was just very pleasant. There was some comedic kind of faces and whatnot that I really, really enjoyed. Yeah, I quite enjoyed this one. I think I'd like to see more of the dynamic between these two gentlemen. And yeah, I quite liked it. And I don't like supernatural stuff all that much, but this had just a good blend of, like, they're in the real world, but there also happens to be spirits and stuff that they're dealing with. And I think this would be, I'm curious to see how long this story is, because I think it would just be a really fun kind of comedy, dark comedy, because there is a bit of a darker element to it, at least in this first chapter. So I would assume it would continue on that path of them like solving darker kind of crimes from the spiritual world or realm. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Really, really enjoyed it. And last but not least, we have Where That Love Went by Emo Mitsuki. This was listed on the digital file as a volume 1, but I don't think that's correct. It doesn't say it anywhere on this volume. And then it also ended, like, it's a full volume, 180 pages, and it didn't end with any kind of to be continued or feel like it had anything more to say. So I think it was just mislabeled on the digital file. But I loved this title. So we've got Izumo, this guy with the glasses. He teaches geography. It's a small town. He teaches at the high school. And then we have Muroto, who is the new physics teacher at the high school. And he basically gets Izumo to be his girlfriend, to ward off all of the students, because a lot of the female and male students have crushes on Muroto. And so he gets Izumo to dress up as a woman and go out about the town and take pictures and whatever with him, so that people will back off because he has a girlfriend. And I really, really enjoyed this. I think it had, like, it wasn't groundbreaking or anything. There wasn't anything in it that I was like, oh, this has never been done before. But for some reason, it felt really fresh. And I really, really enjoyed it. This is something I would have bought physically if it was available physically. I think it just had some really sort of crisp, pretty art, lovely character designs, and cute sort of dynamic that, we're trying to figure out what Muroto's goal is here. We know that Izumo likes Muroto. That is obvious. He makes it very clear that he has a crush on him, to the reader anyway. But you don't really understand what Muroto's angle is. you're like, why is he getting him to dress up like a woman? Does he like him as a man, or is he, literally just lonely and he wants attention, but he will only give Izumo attention if he's looks like a woman? What's the deal with this lighthouse? There's a lighthouse in the town that has a sort of romance legend about it, where if you throw a picture of yourself and your lover off of the top of the lighthouse into the ocean, apparently you will stay together forever. There's also these two students. There's a male and a female student thrown in the mix here. And yeah, it's just a really... I just really loved it, honestly. I think that the art was a big piece of that. I think the art is so charming and really, really well done. I love the character designs. But honestly, the story was just really good, and yeah, there it is. He goes, "Please be my girlfriend," and you're like, "What? Where is this coming from?" But yeah, I just like the dynamic of this really, really shy dude who clearly has a crush on this guy, being like thrown into this situation and just being like, I don't know what to say to this. I don't know what to do about this, but I really like this guy, and I think I'm just gonna go along with it. I loved it. It was really good. I would highly recommend reading this. There is... I don't know, there's some questionable elements of it around the end, but the main story itself is fine. It's more a flashback moment that you're like, oh, that was a little uncomfortable, but I'm not going to spoil what that is because then it would spoil the entire story. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I really, really loved this, and I thought it was really charming, and I thought it was really beautifully done art-wise, and I liked the characters. And in 180 pages, sometimes it's difficult to develop characters, but I fell in love with a lot of these characters quite quickly. So, yeah, Where That Love Went was definitely the winner of all of these titles that I read for this particular grouping. If you've read any of these or have any more information about some of the ones that have further stories to them, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I guess I'll see you in the next one.